Roaming an empty dungeon, Rent stumbles upon a boss room. It's a huge heavenly dragon with him clearly being a low-level pleb with all of his equipment definitely acquired from the dollar store. He realizes he has no chance against this beast. Trembling in fear against the beast's battle cry, his last thought before death is that he just wanted to become a mithril adventurer. Sometime later, Ren awakens and sees only bones, no meat. He has officially become an undead skeleton. A shocking realization. That day started like any other for Ren early in the morning, explaining in an internal monologue how important it is to wake up early as an adventurer. He is a lowly bronze adventurer in a village that isn't even on a map. Mainly the reason to wake up early is to get good quests that are offered based on adventurers' rank and abilities. The contents may vary between monster extermination, gathering herbs or ingredients, down to cleaning the sewers. While looking at the quests, 3 of his acquaintances wonder if he is going to the labyrinth again, and he says yes if he won't find any suitable quests again. They don't know how he can keep this up every day before heading off themselves. Taking a closer look at the quest board, he doesn't see anything suitable for a lowly bronze and decides this is going to be another labyrinth adventure today. Most of the adventurers work in parties, but he likes to ride solo. His main reason is that he is not that good. He's been an adventurer for 10 years now, but he is still in the bronze rank, second rank from the bottom, just like me in League of Legends. Although as long as he can hunt monsters and sell their crystals and materials for a living, that is enough for him. If anything, he is pretty stable for an adventurer and even has savings in case of emergencies. But on this day, he didn't have a cautious mind that is vital for an adventurer, because in this labyrinth that has been exhaustively explored and left empty with nothing around, he found a hole in the wall that isn't on his map. He rushes towards it and double checks. It's a hidden passage. He can't control himself and just starts grinning. It's a major discovery, something that can get him out of the dollar store clothing. Turning a corner, he is now sure of it. It's an unexplored area, and he is first to the prize if he finds any valuable magic tool or weapon. Even just delivering the information and mapping it out would fetch him a fortune. Normally Rent would avoid this place, but here he is alone in this dangerous, unexplored environment. Can't maintain his giddiness to finally be first at something, but because of it, he enters the vast room and comes face to face with the heavenly dragon, a true monster ranking at the top amongst the food chain. According to the legends, they have many forms and some even differ a lot from normal dragons. Even so, he knew it's a dragon at first sight just from his presence. It made Rent unable to move. A forever bronze adventurer like him has absolutely no chance. Still, he doesn't understand how he is alive after being eaten by the dragon, even though technically he isn't alive. So from a lowly bronze rank adventurer, he became a skeleton that can easily be vanquished by a bishop or priest with their purifying magic. In other words, he is a being that violates the divine logic of gods of the dead cannot exist in this world. He really is dead, but somehow maintained his memories and consciousness. His initial instinct is to head back to the village, but the fear of being purified there makes him decide against it. Filled with confusion and uncertainty, he grabs his sword and gets on his feet. Sensing no sign of the dragon, he decides to leave the area. Honestly, he roams the labyrinth just like any other mob, and the other monsters don't pay any attention to him. No one really knows how the labyrinths work, and many try to research it, but to no use. Ren's plan is to wait for another adventurer to come and ask for help, but then he realizes he can't talk. He notices a skeleton turn on him, and once he rushes in, he feels heavy, much weaker than before. Maybe because he doesn't have any muscles. He is the same as the skeleton he is facing. He could easily beat it as a human, but now he can't even hold a sword. Neither can the opposing skeleton walk properly, frantically trying to attach his leg back. The situation is miserable. Rent realizes he can't use swordsmanship as a skeleton, but he checks his other abilities, activating his spirit skill. Rent and the opposing skeleton are the same, but his advantage is equipment and usage of skills. With this, he does a 1-2 combo on him, and after mere seconds, he extracts the experience from the skeleton. This could be big. Rent recalls how his master taught him that monsters have a mysterious element to them. By stacking their age and experience, they can evolve into a higher being. Rent applies the same logic to humans, but what she means is on another level. She says that a skeleton would still be a skeleton no matter what they do, but in rare instances they would evolve into a ghoul. That is called existential evolution. This is what Ren thinks might happen to him. He might evolve into a ghoul and have flesh and be much more human-like. That way he might be able to return to town if he disguises himself. So he is determined to achieve existential evolution for the time being, slaying all the monsters in this dungeon and evolving into a ghoul. Meanwhile, his master is worried that Rent hasn't come and today either for her evening activities. After slaying the 5th skeleton, Rent is getting better at moving his body. This light also has a recovery effect. Thanks to that, he can keep using his spirit ability in every fight, believing he should try to challenge a stronger monster. Soon turning a corner, he notices a slime. They are representatives of weak monsters, usually grouped with skeletons, but they should not be underestimated as they resist physical attacks by nature. They are defeated by magic easily, but he isn't skilled enough to use offensive magic, so his only choice is to defeat it with physical attacks, either to destroy its core or slice up its gelatinous body to the point it can't regenerate. Since he doesn't have the power nor ability to do that, the slimes are his arch nemesis, since he needs to use a special spirit art that he can use only once a day. The slime leaps back and throws acidic projectiles, disregarding everything. He thought he just swings his sword, and luckily and surprisingly it's the slime's core. He collects slime's magic crystal and gelatin that isn't acidic, quite contrary. It's used as cosmetics for women as it makes your skin smooth. Where did he get all those flasks from? Meanwhile, in the village, one of the adventure clerks, Sheila, is questioned if she has found a party for a new adventurer from the other day. Based on the letter, she is inexperienced but has proficiency with the sword. She replies that there wasn't anyone hiring, so she wanted to ask Rent for help, but notes that he hasn't returned since yesterday. That is very unusual, especially since he hasn't taken any quests outside of the city since the new adventurer was in need of money. She told her to go to the same labyrinth. Rent went to the low-level labyrinth. Still, something doesn't seem right back at the labyrinth. Rent doesn't get sleepy or has any appetite. He surmises that's a given since he's an undead. Even if he would eat, it would just fall to the ground. He fought through the whole night. Because exhaustion also isn't a factor, but he guesses existential evolution doesn't happen that easily. His physical abilities got a lot worse when he just turned into a skeleton, but after slaying all those monsters, it's pretty much back to how it was before. His spirit works just as before, and he can also use mana. He is surprised he can also use divinity despite being an undead. Divinity doesn't only apply to injuries and illnesses, it can also purify water and prevent food from spoiling. Rent decides to keep fighting monsters. Little by little, he can probably win against 2 monsters at the same time. 3 would be a tough fight. In 4 or more, he has to run away. He understands how weak he is even after being an adventurer for 10 years, and if he includes the training, that would be 20 years. And while he may be able to use spirit, mana, and divinity, which is rare for even high-rank ING adventurers to be able to use all 3, he isn't exactly strong in any of them. Either he knows he isn't fit for the job, and normally people like him would quit adventuring after a few years in work fields in the village or look for another job, but he was sure things would find a way. As long as he was alive, he never stopped training each day and studies monsters and magic, taking all kinds of quests. No matter how small, he kept doing all that for 10 years, all for his dream to become a mithril rank adventurer, a rank higher than gold or platinum, a level not even naturally gifted people can easily achieve. That is the highest rank, reserved for adventurers capable of saving the whole kingdom single-handedly. Even in his current form, he vows to become mithril, pulling himself together and going after more skeletons, and realizing that in one day he has become even stronger from when he was still human, easily dodging and pulverizing all the low-level mobs in the labyrinth. It's not an accident he is getting stronger by the minute. He gets another flask to collect the slime to sell later, but something unexpected happens. A shock runs through his body. His body starts to get covered in flesh, and he starts to glow in a bright yellow light. Taking off his glove, he realizes that he has finally evolved. He is now a ghoul. He has flesh, even though it's dried up and disgusting. That's a great progress. If he keeps this up, he might even turn into an undead of a higher rank. His ultimate goal for now would be to turn into a vampire to look just like a human. Since he has flesh, he can actually talk, but any sound that is coming out is definitely not speech material. He will need some practice. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this episodes.